But let's start tonight, as we do at this time, with the overall coronavirus figures across the country as they stand at the moment. The total cases are 46,711. The total who've recovered, and that recovery rate is rising, is 13,161. Deaths are 1,583 at the moment. Let's take a look at what's been happening in the last 24 hours. 3,900 cases, the highest in a day in the last 24 hours. Recovered 1,020, deaths 195. That's the highest death toll as well as of cases. But the recovery rate is also increasing at the moment. Let's then take a look at exactly how the lockdown has been affecting lives. Now, 2 days of the extended lockdown, and we are witnessing normalcy slowly creeping in with the lifting of curbs. But what remains worrying has been the situation outside liquor shops, when you to gather in large numbers, violating all norms. The question is, can opening up and social distancing work together? Let's take a look at the reality check on day 3 of lockdown, or day 2 of lockdown 3.0.
Day 2 of lockdown 3.0. More people are back on the roads as the country that stayed indoors for over 40 days looks to get back on its feet. The biggest crowds yet again were witnessed outside liquor stores in every city. From Delhi to Mumbai to Bengaluru. Hundreds waited for hours in serpentine queues to get their bottles. States, their coffers fast depleting, are also trying to raise revenues. In the national capital, the government has announced a 70% corona tax on liquor, ostensibly to keep crowds away, but that doesn't seem to have worked.
70% टैक्स बढ़ने का किसी को कोई गम नहीं है। ये एक देश के लिए हमारी तरफ से एक डोनेशन है, एक दान है।
इससे एक्चुअली में गवर्नमेंट को भी थोड़ा फायदा ही है। वैसे तो पब्लिक पैसा देगी नहीं, कम से कम इस माध्यम से गवर्नमेंट के पास कुछ अर्निंग होगी जिससे वो कोरोना की इस लड़ाई को लड़ने के लिए पैसा खर्च कर सकेगी।
Hardly 5 or 6 people are standing in the queue, but do not get confused as this line stretches for more than 5 kilometers. There is a small gate which has been made by police, and we go outside of this gate, and from this area till that point this line stretches for more than 2 kilometers. See, people have been standing in queues since morning. They have been waiting for their turn patiently. As you can see, there's very less distance between them. So social distance is very easily being compromised.
In a double whammy for Delhiites, the state government has increased diesel prices by 7.10 rupees per litre and 1.67 rupees per litre for petrol. In maximum city Mumbai, the COVID scare didn't stop people from throwing social distancing norms to the wind for their share of liquor.
People are buying huge quantity of liquor over here, but the most important part over here is that people are not following the social distancing norms. You can see Mumbai police officials also present over here. They are here continuously appealing to the people that they should follow the lockdown rules, the social distancing rules, but people are not listening at all.
In the south, Andhra Pradesh government has followed the Delhi model. It has hiked taxes on liquor by 75%. The crowds at liquor stores in cities have prompted some other states to do a rethink. The Tamil Nadu government has chosen not to open liquor stores in Chennai, citing the spike in COVID cases in the city. The fear now is, will the opening up undo the gains of the 40-day lockdown? With Devanshu Tomar and Saurabh Vaktania, Bureau Report, India Today.
So that's the ground reality. How do the numbers stack up? Let's take a look at the numbers. We first want to look at the 40 days and over 40,000 cases. Now look at it. As you can see, over from 25th of March to the 5th of May, when you had a steady rise now coming in the last week, and in today 3,900 new cases. So there is no flattening of the so-called curve at the moment. In fact, the number of new cases have shown a rise. Take a look now at, as I said, the new cases continuing to rise on a daily basis. If you take a look the recovery rate is where there is hope. The recovery rate is steadily going up. However, if you look at the total daily new cases, they also continue to rise. So here, the recovery rate goes up, but the daily new cases rising up to a peak of 3,900 today. Take a look at another factor, because this is important. Mostly, almost 60% coronavirus cases continue to remain among the big cities. Delhi, Jaipur, Ahmedabad, Agra, Kolkata, Bhopal, Indore, Hyderabad, Chennai, Pune, Surat, Mumbai. These are the 12 cities that account for almost 60% of the cases. Remember, that would suggest to some that the corona crisis largely around the big cities. Recovery rate slowly rising, but also the number of new cases. What does all this mean? That's what we are going to focus on. The big question that we are going to ask: what does the spike in corona cases really now mean? Some are saying, did India open up too soon? Are the relaxations coming in too soon? Others are asking, as the Delhi Chief Minister did the other day, should India simply learn to live with the virus? How can we enforce social distancing without relaxing the norms? Some of the questions that we want to raise tonight. I'm joined by Professor Ramanand Lakshminarayan, Director, Center for Disease Dynamics and Economics. He teaches infectious disease epidemiology at Princeton. Dr. S.K. Sareen, Director, Institute of Liver and Body Science, but he is the person who's in charge of Delhi's corona fight. Dr. Shashank Joshi is member of Mumbai, Maharashtra's COVID task force. Appreciate all of you joining us. I want to come to you, Dr. Lakshminarayan, because you've been saying at various stages that you expect the numbers only to rise. This is something we have to live with, and the numbers will rise exponentially. How do you see what has happened in the last couple of days? 3,900 cases now in the last 24 hours.
So Rajdeep, I don't think we should focus on just 2 days, because keep in mind that there is a lag between when someone is actually infected, when they get a test, when their test result comes out, and then finally when we get their results. So what you're seeing is really infections that probably happened 2 weeks ago, maybe even a little more than that, because that's the incubation period of the virus, about 12 days. Now, the differences between what would have happened without the lockdown, which would have been a far more sharp increase, compared to what is happening now. Now, this may look like we have not controlled the virus, but I would think that to a large extent we've done a lot in this last 6-week period. That if it had not been for this, we would have been seeing a spike going much further than this, and it would be something which would take us to a peak in just about 2 weeks from now. We have fortunately pushed that peak out quite substantially, probably into early July, late June, early July. That's obviously not visible, but the fact that the doubling time of the virus has gone from 4 days, it used to be 4 days, prior to the lockdown, and during the lockdown it slowed and then went to about 10 and a half, 11 days. Undoubtedly, it will start doubling at a faster rate again. However, if we are able to maintain some of our behavioral change, social distancing, masking, and so forth, I think we will see the benefit both in terms of a pushed out peak, which has given us time, but also a smaller peak, which would be within the ability of our health system to handle.
But you're making an important point. You are saying, Professor Lakshminarayan, that the spike that you're now seeing is possibly a prelude to the peak. When I look at India, and let's get a chart that compares India to all the other countries over a period of time. The Indian graph, as you can see, the blue is slowly rising, while other countries are coming down. Their peak seems to have been reached. And I'm looking here at Spain, I'm looking at Italy. In the case of India, the worm seems to be rising at the moment. Are you suggesting, therefore, that over the next 2 to 3 weeks, this worm will rise further?
So, Rajiv, it's not a worm, it's a virus. Worms are parasites. So
I'm only looking at the graph.
Oh, yes, okay. Let me just say that, the start point of the epidemic is very different for different countries. That is the main reason why we didn't have a spike the same time as the US or Europe did. We just got our first cases a lot later. We're not sure why exactly. I mean, today there's a study which showed that, France might have got its first virus probably a month and a half before when they thought they got it. In any case, we think that the entry of the virus into India was substantially later, probably a month or 6 weeks. But you have to remember that 6 weeks in the life of a virus is the difference between having 1,000 cases and having 300,000 cases, if you're assuming it's doubling every 4 or 5 days. That is the power of exponential growth. So we can't just compare countries at different points in their growth and say, this is less or this is more. South Asia, whether it's Pakistan, Bangladesh, India, are all in very similar trajectories. We probably got it at a later time. We're rising towards a peak. What is unknown is how large that peak will be. Some of it is determined, obviously, by our population size, which is sort of the carrying capacity of the virus. But a lot of it, the slope is determined by our behavior. And I think that the last 6 weeks have been really important. If it had not been for that, if we had doubled at that same 4-day pace, it takes 66 days to go from 100 cases to 420 million cases. That is the power of exponential growth. There's no magic here. That's how these curves work. So
am I right, Professor, in saying that there are two good things that have happened at the moment? If I can say good things, one is the recovery rate seems to be rising marginally. And number two, as you're saying, the cases are now doubling, not every 4 days, but every 12 to 14 days.
Absolutely. So the latter is entirely because of lockdown. And let's not underestimate the lockdown. This is the biggest shutdown of such a large population in human history. It's absolutely historic. People look back 100 years from now and say, how did India really do this? So it was a remarkable act from that perspective. The recovery rate will keep going up simply because you have to remember that as much as we worry about coronavirus, 98 to 99 people out of every 100 people who get the coronavirus will be fine, they will recover. So most people will recover. In fact, most people won't even have an infection where they see symptoms. So that's just something that's going to keep increasing over time.
Okay, so those are the positive aspects. I want to come to you, Dr. S.K. Sareen, because on the ground, you and Dr. Joshi have to answer the big question for me, Delhi and Mumbai. These are the two cities which perhaps have witnessed the sharpest rises for a while. Delhi seems to be getting a marginally better in terms of there is no exponential rise in cases. Are you also seeing any green shoots of recovery, improvement in recovery levels in a city like Delhi?
Well, Delhi has certainly shown that the number of deaths, which actually matters, the number of deaths that Delhi has probably the lowest number, which is a very good sign. And the numbers which have increased, like what you listed yesterday's data, was actually the samples which were of Saturday, Sunday, that is of 2nd and 3rd. So I don't really think that that is after the opening up of the so-called little bit relaxation in the lockdown. But I want to bring something which we just heard from Professor Lakshminarayan is the curve. I think we have delayed the curve. The curves may come later. Sometimes we predicted around mid-May, but it can go up to end of May or beginning of June or mid-June. But other important part is social distancing alone enough for us? I think we have to realize that it is just not the distancing. We have to have an understanding. We do not infect others. Normally, people are only concerned they do not get infected from others. But what we have to understand, all of us have a responsibility. And I call it Project POTS. POTS means protect others to save yourself. If you protect others, means you keep wearing a mask all the time. And I think I have some photographs to show you from the Spanish flu, if you can show them. This is of 1918, 102 years ago, when the Spanish flu came. It was in the Seattle that the conductor of the streetcar did not permit anyone to get into the streetcar, what we call as train or what we call as a bus today.
Right.
So even in those days, 102 years ago, it was clear that we have a responsibility not to infect others. All the policemen were wearing in 1918 a mask. We think our policemen today should wear. We have a question to ask? No. Thirdly, all the women were wearing in Japan the mask. The photographs would certainly show you. So in 1918, in Greece, in a newspaper, a telegram was published by the state authority. And I want to just tell you, the telegram said schools should be closed. There should be no close concentration. And thirdly, it said that please remember to wash your hands and your clothes properly. If we follow that, which was 100 years ago known, it's normal way of living, and the biggest Holocaust in history, the Spanish flu, took away 50 million lives, more than the World War I. The question was that people learned to live with it for 2 years.
Are you saying, Dr. Sareen, we have to learn to live with the virus? Are you saying we have reached that stage where we have to learn to live with the virus?
Yes, the virus is smarter. It is going to go, and lockdown only tells you and teaches you to behave. It only tells you that, well, we can infect and can get infected anytime. And I think it's our responsibility to wear masks for a very long time. Like, for example, you take a flight, you say middle seat will not be.
Sure.
You will have that much distance. More important than that is everyone wears a mask and does not infect others.
Sure.
Like you go to a hospital, a patient comes, he can infect all the doctors.
But
every patient must wear a mask, not only the doctors.
Can I bring you back though to the situation today? Despite the numbers that we are seeing, we saw a spike in Delhi on Friday, Saturday, a slight spike in number of cases. At the moment, do you believe that the situation, the recovery rate gives you hope that over time, as the recovery rate grows, we will learn to live with the virus better? Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying recovery is much better, but what we are more concerned is the death. I think recovery is of asymptomatic as well as symptomatic. We are bothered about those who get fever, are very sick. Others will automatically get recovered, you know. Only about 3 to 5% have severe illness going to the intensive care unit. We don't want patients to go there. We don't want them on ventilators. And that's where I think the recovery has shown some hope.
Right.
But death, 195 in the country makes me worry. But Delhi is doing much better than probably. But let's see what is in store for us.
Sure. So at the moment, you know, on the other hand, Dr. Joshi, Mumbai, you're a member of the COVID task force. Maharashtra and Mumbai, we are seeing is the recovery rate is below the national average and the number of deaths are slowly climbing above the national average. Does that worry you? Is Maharashtra the major worry? And Mumbai in particular?
Yeah. Rajiv, definitely Mumbai more than Maharashtra is a cause of concern. Maharashtra is a cause of concern, but our death rate actually in the last 10 days has come down. We were averaging around 7 to 8%, has come down to around 4-5%. It is still a cause of concern.
So that's still above the national average, sir. National average is 3.4, Maharashtra is at 4 to 5%.
Correct. So, but it is much less than what it was probably 10 to 12 days back. And that was something which we were very worried about. And therefore, I must tell you 2-3 things which are very clear cut. Number one is we are in Mumbai and Maharashtra nearing the peak somewhere between 15th of May to 30th of May. Definitely in the population dense clusters like Dharavi, like Govandi, like several other parts of Mumbai city, which are very highly population dense, we are having challenges of, we need to, and we still are having at a very war-fighting and aggressive approach. Our deaths are predominantly coming from comorbidities like diabetes, hypertension, renal disease, and that is something which is very well known. So what they have started doing in slums like Dharavi is actually now getting into the slums using a vulnerable score where people who are elderly or who have comorbidities, they are actually making and doing their pulse oximeter. If they are hypoxic, they are being moved out so that they can be intervened early and their lives could be saved. So that is something which we recognize, that we have a mini avalanche coming up, but I feel within 2 to 4 weeks, the situation should get under control.
You know, you're saying 2 to 4 weeks. Dr. Lakshminarayan, you know, the numbers that I want to throw at you, Professor. COVID cases per million, India 34 versus the United States 3,665, Spain 5,447. COVID fatality rate, India 3.4% versus US 5.8, Spain 10.2, UK 15.1, France 14.9, Germany 4.2. Are these figures that should give us, despite the sudden spike over the last couple of days, a sense of reassurance?
I think we're looking at different countries at different points in the epidemic. We're also looking at different states in the different point of the epidemic. India is not one country as far as the virus goes. India is many countries. So today Maharashtra is growing, and as the honorable gentleman said, it's going to reach a peak at some point. But Bihar's peak and UP's peak may come much later. So it's difficult to compare different states at a particular point in time. It's like saying how much is a 5-year-old growing today compared to how much a 15-year-old is growing. They're not comparable at all. They're very different. I think that Maharashtra is doing a really good job unearthing cases, and it probably is going to be one of the better states when all is said and done. And with this story will only be told a year and a half from now, and we actually know, what the fatality rates are. And that is really what we care about the most. At the end of the day, we don't want to lose many people to COVID, and that really should be our ultimate indicator. But I think comparing other countries is also difficult because everything is lagged in time. The person who dies today of COVID probably got that infection probably 3-4 weeks ago. So, everything is like happening in slow motion. We are paying attention to today's deaths, but today's deaths are just, that's just a blip one day or the other.
But when I show this graphic that I'm showing on the screen, Professor, saying almost 60% of the cases are concentrated in 12 cities of the country, are you saying that should not be seen as a potential sign that maybe this is an urban-centric problem at the moment, that rural India is relatively insulated? Or are you saying that over time it will, by its very nature, spread there as well?
So, remember that the disease was brought into the country by people who came in through international airports. That's the only way in which it came into the country. And those people came in through airports which happen to be in the cities. So the first places of spread are always going to be the cities. All the cities will peak first, and then it will get to the rural areas. A fundamental reality here for us is that the reason why everyone is saying we're going to live with it for a long time is that none of us has any immunity to the virus. So it's either today or in 6 months from now or 3 months from now, which is why it's a long game. I mean, this is like a boxing match, and you're saying, did we win after one round? We don't know. We have another 14 rounds left. And we've got to win every one of those rounds as it happens. And some of these rounds may be fought in places in rural India where we don't have the health infrastructure. We don't even have the testing capability to figure out where the cases are. So we're still in very early stages of this epidemic. And to be honest, that is true for Spain and Italy as well. So they've gone through one round, but the virus will come back.
The virus will come back. Very quickly, Dr. Sareen, testing itself. The number of tests that you are doing has increased exponentially. Both Delhi and Mumbai have done relatively well when you look at testing. But are you satisfied at the moment with the numbers we are testing per day?
Well, as of our capacity, I think it's acceptable, but certainly we need to firm it up further as the virus is likely to stay for longer. But there are two types of things we require. One is the PCR testing, which is the definite test for infection and the infectivity of a person. But time and again we realize that this virus is going to go from one person to the other. Like in Germany and others, they have also the immunity certificate. May not be totally true. But in any containment zone, we need to realize how many people were exposed without any symptoms and got an immunity. So what is between us and immunity? Immunity is given either by virus infection or by a vaccine. Till the time we have a vaccine, how will we get immunity? So that immunity can be tested by antibody tests, which are likely to become available in large scale. And if we find in a given 5,000 population, let's say 2,000 random numbers are immune, they are okay, they are protected. And we have to see that in a city, we have the protected, remain protected, but the others who are vulnerable definitely wear masks and definitely should have all the precautions there.
But
our
as we've
testing
seen,
capabilities certainly need to be
but as we've seen in the last 48 hours, Dr.
our
Joshi,
capabilities of testing.
Sure. But whether it's in Mumbai or Delhi, we've seen in the last 48 hours some of those social distancing norms not being followed, Dr. Joshi. How big a worry is that? That as you open up, social distancing by itself will disappear, because how much can you police every shop in Mumbai or in Delhi?
So I think, Rajdeep, I agree with you there that, that may not have contributed to today's spike, but clearly that is a violation, should be contained, and policing must be very tight. And I think they have already put a curfew between 8 p.m. and 7 a.m. and they need to even daytime do more tight policing so that the distancing norms and masking norms are maintained. There is no brainer in that at all. That has to be done very aggressively. We are in a containment zone. But as Dr. Sareen said, it is important to have also the antibody test, at least for places like Mumbai, because we need to know the IgGs and the IgMs, which is active infection and protection, which is very, very important in our places also. Also remember, we are in summer, so we are actually luckier in a way.
Sure, we are, and that is the worry. We are in summer. Some say it could get worse, of course, post-monsoon. But Professor Lakshmi Narayanan, give us the worst case scenario. Give us the best case scenario and give us the worst case scenario at the very end.
So, Rajdeep, we should take it one state at a time. And I think in the one state at a time scenario, because we're so early in the epidemic, we are not able to statistically differentiate between a state like Maharashtra flattening out at, say, 200,000 cases versus 2 million cases or 5 million cases. It's just a problem with the fact that we're still very early. In some sense, it's easier to model an epidemic when there is no policy action, when you just are modeling the virus. When human behavior and government policy comes into the mix, it's very, very hard to know. The answer to your question really depends on our behavior. It really depends on what government policy is going to be. If we are able to be self-disciplined, wear masks, forego large gatherings, and keep the virus multiplication rate at the rate that it is right now, we will see a very shallow peak and we will see this stretch out much further in time. If we go back to the behavior that we exhibited, as a country prior to March 24th, we're in for a very rough time, because if you go back to that same behavior, you're going back to the same peak. And then all the lockdown buys you is about 6 weeks of time, but doesn't change anything about this very sharp peak, which I've spoken about before, because that is purely a function of how fast the virus multiplies. And, so really the answer depends on us. And eventually, therefore, at that moment, either we get herd immunity or we get a vaccine. Am I correct? No, I think, herd immunity, there's a choice here. So we can go through multiple lockdowns and through multiple peaks and slow down this point at which we get to this herd immunity of 65%. I don't think the vaccine is going to arrive till next summer, optimistically. And there are lots of uncertainties about it. And I think that's the best guess. The other option is that we don't have that many lockdowns and we have more infections, more peaks in a shorter period of time. And we get to herd immunity as early as September, October. It will take a huge human toll for sure, but the alternative will take a huge economic toll. And I think there is a clear trade-off that we have to make between these two, because the lockdown is really the only instrument we have at this time, given that the other instrument that we should have is people being self-disciplined and policing themselves, which is what works for Sweden or South Korea. But we're not very good at that, apparently. Well, either way, I think this has been most educative. We've had three very fine minds giving us a sense of where we stand and trying to make sense of the spikes that have taken place. Dr. Sareen, Dr. Joshi, and Professor Lakshmi Narayanan, I appreciate your joining me here at the top of news today. Thank you very much.
Hi everyone, Preeti Chaudhary here. Hope you like this video. For latest news and analysis, like and subscribe to the India Today YouTube channel. And don't forget to press the bell icon to stay updated. Thank you for watching.